What's up, guys? My name is Pedro.
I'm Marco.
If you would like to volunteer, we have many ministry teams. We have creative crew, we have worship team, serve squad, and also production team. If you would like to join on any of those teams, if your heart burns for that, talk to your leader.
And last weekend we had our Brazilian festival, and for those that didn't go, you guys truly missed out. We had such a great time with great fellowship, great food, and as you know, amazing food equals amazing time.
And also, on January 8th, we're starting back our maturity course and our leadership course. If you want to join those courses, talk to your leader, speak to anyone at church, they will help you out.
What's up, guys? My name's Jimmy. I'm one of the network pastors here at Vine Church, and today I'm here to give you this weekend's recap. So this past weekend, Pastor Antonio was here to share with us a powerful message as a guest speaker, and it was definitely a prophetic moment. He shared with us a message called Dreaming with God. And I'm going to ask you a couple questions throughout the point that he asked us. And I want to start off by reading Genesis chapter 15, verses 1 through 5. So the verses say this: After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abram said, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless, and the one who will inherit my estate is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of the Lord came to him, This man will not be your heir, but a son who is your own flesh and blood will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. Then he said to him, So shall your offspring be. And I want to ask you this question right now. What is your dream? What have you been dreaming about lately? What is the passion that's been burning in your heart for? What have you been envisioning that God has been showing you? God took Abram out of the tent. He said, Abram, step out of your tent and look at the stars. And Pastor Antonio shared with us that until we learn to step out of our tent, step out of these comfort zones in our lives, we will not be able to dream these dreams. We will not be able to count these stars that God is currently showing us. And these stars that God showed Abram is an illustration of dreams. God was trying to show Abram that he can keep on dreaming, that he has a promise for him, and how God has a promise for you and me as well. And I want to ask you this question once again. What are you dreaming of? What is your dream? The second question I want to ask you is, what are you feeding your dream? Or what will you feed your dream? And Pastor Antonio gave us a description of, or an analogy of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and how we should be feeding our dreams with either tree, with words of life, words of encouragement, or words of knowledge of good and evil. Just words of mankind, dependent on man, of what they have to say. So let me ask you, who are you listening to? What's feeding your dreams? Are you opening your dream up with the right people or the wrong people? Are there people in your life who are bringing you discouragement, who are not believing in your dreams? Or are you surrounded with people who are feeding that fire, feeding that dream that will help you keep on going and be successful in reaching the dream that God has for you? So let me ask you this one more time. What are you feeding your dream? Or what are you allowing in your life to feed your dream? And the last and final question I want to ask you is, what is the scope of your dream? You see, it can either be a big dream or a small dream. You can think God's dreams or you can think your own dreams. Abraham had his dream of having a son, but God's dream was that through that son, Abraham would have a nation, okay? And maybe your dreams are just small, simple dreams, but God wants to do great things. So think beyond. Have a larger scope in your dream. You see, Abraham, he could have just had a son, right? God tested Abraham even. God tested Abraham and he asked him to sacrifice his son, and Abraham answered correctly. Yeah, God stopped Abraham. He didn't have to sacrifice, but God tested Abraham. And he wanted to see if Abraham was willing to dream God's dreams. And I want to ask you right now to surrender your dream and to dream God's dreams. Think about the nations, the bigger picture that God wants to do in your life. So God is inviting you, He's inviting us to dream His dreams, to step out of our tents and to count the stars, to count these dreams, to count everything that God is doing, to think about the bigger picture and to dream God's dreams. So I want you guys to write down the questions that I've asked you just now, and just the same questions that Pastor Antonio asked us, so that we can think about and reflect on. And hopefully these questions can really just make us think, so that we can experience life transformation in our lives. I hope you guys have an awesome life group today. Think about these questions. Talk about what touched you mostly during Pastor Antonio's message. What came out to you? What did God show you throughout the message? Encourage each other, motivate each other, teach each other. And if you weren't at service this past weekend, I hope to see you next weekend at church. God bless you guys.